Washington, D.C. Earlier this week, we marked the 3-year anniversary of the chaotic and deadly evacuation from Abbey Gate at Kabul International Airport. The political implications still exist because what happened to the Afghan people who helped the U.S. forces while stationed in Afghanistan? Just one of the questions that is being asked. Sean Vandiver is the president and board chairman of AfghanEvac. It is a coalition of more than 200 organizations working alongside the government to support Afghan relocation efforts. And Sean, do we know how many people the U.S. did leave behind?
It's hard to get good numbers on that because at the beginning of this, the U.S. never kept those records. And in fact, that's sort of one of the big problems with the special immigrant visa program is that the onus is on the individuals who served alongside us.
Mr. Vandiver, lots of finger pointing about who's to blame. So from your perspective, who is to blame?
Well, every presidential administration since the beginning of this war owns the entirety of the Afghan war. As far as the withdrawal goes, look, it's absolutely true that in August it was chaotic, and the Biden administration owns at least a portion of that. The Trump administration negotiated the deal. They let 5,000 Taliban prisoners out of jail, and they excluded the Afghan government from those talks. They decimated the resettlement and the refugee systems. Since then, President Biden and his administration have rebuilt those systems and now have welcomed 165,000 Afghans to our neighborhoods to begin their American dreams.
Can the United States have it both ways? Because in one sense on the campaign trail, you hear people saying we have to close our borders. No room in the inn, so to speak. If you use the Statue of Liberty, the huddled masses are no longer welcome to breathe free here. So when it comes to Afghan refugees, does America really want them, or does it simply want to use this as a political football?
Del, I am so glad you asked that. Americans want Afghans to come here. The borders are not closed to, as far as Americans are concerned, right? It's true that 90% of Americans support ongoing efforts to help our Afghan allies. It's true that 75% of evangelical Trump supporters support welcoming our Afghan allies. There are those that would like to use this as a political football, but veterans, evangelical Christians, folks from every part of the American experience would reject that notion and say that we want these folks to come here. And in fact, we're welcoming them in every day.
Sean, I was reading that just this week, the Taliban is once again out with tougher restrictions against women in Afghanistan. When does this become an international issue? And if it does, as it already is, what can the international community do that hasn't been done?
Look, the international community, it already is an international issue. The international community needs to stand strong with Afghans and stand strong with Afghan women and pressure the Taliban to do the right thing when it comes to women and girls in Afghanistan and to get with the times here in 2024.
I'm curious. Afghanistan was this nation's longest running war. There was no end in sight. Was there ever going to be a good time for the United States to get out?
Look, no. I mean, the truth is no. It didn't have to be as chaotic as it was. And on one hand, as you've heard the Biden administration say, it was an extraordinary, the largest humanitarian airlift in history. And it's also true that we left so many of our allies behind, that better planning should have happened, that it could have gone a lot better. But I'll tell you that every single day since August of 2021, this group of volunteers from AfghanEvac, and for those interested, you can go to AfghanEvac.org to learn more. But this group of volunteers from AfghanEvac and across America have been working hand in hand with the administration to make sure that we're keeping our promises to our allies. And in fact, just last week, I had the honor of leading a meeting from the Roosevelt Room alongside Homeland Security Advisor Liz Sherwood-Randall. They don't just let people do that. I was shocked and blown away, but it really set the tone and sent the message both to our volunteers, to the 200 people that were on that call from Congress, from across the federal government, and from the volunteers all across America, that this still matters. This is a priority. Just because the administration's not talking about it doesn't mean that it's not a priority. And in fact, I think we all agree that it's better to not discuss the ongoing efforts in depth from the podium there in order to protect it. It's an honorable thing, but these these government workers and volunteers who have been working on this for the past 3 years and the 20 years preceding that.
Sean, final question.
Deserve.
Yeah, I was going to say final question before I let you go. And I've got 30 seconds left, but I remember trying to get somebody out of Afghanistan back when AfghaNevac fell. They had to destroy all their paperwork for fear that if they were captured with their paperwork, the Taliban would punish and probably kill them. If you are someone undocumented in Afghanistan, how do you get back into this country?
Sure. Well, you would hope that you had taken a picture of those documents, you'd uploaded them to the forms that groups like ours had put out there, and at the very least, apply, get in touch with your supervisors. They can validate those records and hopefully get you here.
So give us your website so that people listening right now will know exactly how to get in touch with your organization, because it's very important.
Sure, AfghanEvac.org, and we need support, so go to AfghanEvac.org/donate and help us out today.
Sean Van Diver. Sean, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.